Hamish Rutherford is the Wellington business editor, joins us to have a bit of a chat about the vaccination passport. Hello there, Hamish.
Hi guys, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. So we have spoken previously about the business community and the lack of detail in the roadmap forward. I guess you're a good man to talk to about this. How do you think, given today's announcement, how do you think the feeling is going to be among the business community?
I think this move certainly will be welcomed. This is the carrot on the other side of this that finally will start to get a framework around the circumstances in which people can restrict entry to vaccinated people. It's designed and framed around summer festivals and that kind of thing, but the Prime Minister clearly hinted that it could be used at things like hospitality events or cultural events, church and so on, and it could allow you to, by restricting who is coming on site and restricting it to people who are vaccinated, that perhaps you might be allowed to have more people on site. And I think one of the concerns yesterday was not a lot of, the business sector wants a bit of leadership from the government to incentivise people to be vaccinated, to promise freedoms that you get to being vaccinated, but also to allow businesses to start to decide how they can restrict entry, whether it's from their employers or their customers, to people who are vaccinated. And this is the start of it. We won't have access to it for another month or so, but I think it'll be welcomed.
What about the wage subsidy scheme? Do you think that should continue? There's been nothing said about. Apparently, it's still in place at this stage.
Yeah, they're still describing the next couple of steps of the roadmap that they laid out yesterday as level 3. So I believe it will continue until they're explicitly in level 2. So it's my understanding, at least, that it will continue for some time.
So they are getting some support at the moment, which is good.
It is good. Some businesses, for many businesses, the staff cost is the primary cost and, the leading one. For some, that's just not the case. It's much more around rent or, stock and so on. There are other expenses that aren't related. So the wage subsidy doesn't fix everything. Not only does it not cover the full wages for many staff, because, it's about $600 a week. Some staff are paid a lot more than that. But it also doesn't cover your rent, your building costs, your rates, your insurance, your mortgage payments. So and there's the resurgence payment, of course. That's a sort of a fortnightly payment per business. But again, I think there's still, for hospitality businesses that are completely unable to operate, it doesn't cover the full whack. And so they're still going further into debt, some of them, by not being able to operate. And that's why you've seen over the last few days some Auckland restaurants signalling they're just not going to reopen.
Yeah, I saw that, some big name ones.
Euro.
Hey, Hamish, Euro. So, Hamish, last quick question before we go. Given the frustrations with the business community again about the lack of detail around the roadmap yesterday, I wondered if there wasn't still going to be some frustration given the Prime Minister said, yes, November, the vaccination passport is coming, but for the likes of Hospo and the churches, etc., there's still no detail around that. And I wondered if that isn't going to cause more grief.
Well, again, the passport will be ready in November. That doesn't necessarily mean that hospitality businesses will be able to open on a particular date. It could be, there was sort of an implication that the settings would be reviewed weekly. So if you're a very optimistic person, you might say step 2 next week and step 3 the week after. But, the fact that the Prime Minister didn't say the circumstances, how many case numbers we might need, what vaccination rates might allow us to move to 2 to 3, I think they'll still be wondering. The vaccination passport will be welcome because it does sort of, it's a sign to the future of how things will be when they operate differently, when lockdowns are gone. But when exactly businesses will be able to open, they just don't know yet.
Yeah, that's the tricky one. Mate, thank you very much for your expertise and the thoughts.
Anytime.
Appreciate it.
Cheers, Hamish.
Hamish Rutherford.